What is an alla prima? Alla prima is an Italian term meaning at first attempt. It refers to a painting technique where the entire piece is completed in a single session while the paint is still wet. It's all done in one layer and it forces you to be bold and decisive with your brushstrokes. It might sound intimidating, but it's not. In fact, it can be really fun. It's a common practice among plein-air painters, where decisions have to be made quickly, but personally, I find this technique just as useful in the studio. In today's video, I want to show you how I painted the hair on this portrait using one of my favorite techniques, Alla Prima. I genuinely believe it's one of the best approaches for painting hair in a way that feels both realistic and expressive. Hair is fluid, soft, full of movement, and that's exactly what Alla Prima encourages. Since the paint stays wet, you can blend edges, mix tones directly on the canvas and build that silky, layered effect that hair needs. You're not painting every strand, you're suggesting texture, volume and light all at once. Now that I've explained what Alla Prima is, let's get into the painting process. I begin with a large brush, blocking in the darkest areas of the hair and the background. This helps create a strong contrast between light and shadow right from the start. You might have noticed I'm not working on white canvas. I've toned it with a bright orangey color. That's intentional. It matches the tone of the hair's highlights, so I can later reveal those areas by scraping back with a palette knife. As I work, I scrape off excess paint in key spots to let the background show through. That gives me instant luminous highlights, but since the tone canvas isn't the brightest tone I need, I go back in and add final highlights to make it more convincing. It's important while you paint that you don't create texture in the shadows, because it's going to reflect light off of the thick paint, but it's beneficial if you create texture in the highlights to intensify the effect when the light is going to bounce off the texture back into your eyes. Here are a few tips to help create realistic looking hair. Use soft edges in shadow areas and save the sharper edges for the highlights. Don't overwork it, let some brush strokes remain visible. It adds life and energy. Pay attention to color temperature. Even dark hair can have subtle warm and cool shifts that add dimension. Follow the flow. Brush direction should follow the natural movement of the hair. It helps describe volume and form. So, what do you think about Alla Prima? I really encourage you to give it a try in your next painting. It's fast, it's expressive and incredibly effective, especially when painting something as dynamic as hair. Thank you so much for watching.